You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun. We're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
What a glorious day. Part 107 is here. And
That is.
officially, we can say that this is the beginning of a whole new era. Are you ready to fly? Take flight with me, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and it is a beautiful day for many reasons that we're going to talk about. We're very excited for Paul and many of the other folks out there. As always, we thank you for joining us. We know that you have a lot of choices of how to spend your time, and you're spending it with us. That's awesome.
We do really appreciate it. And I just want to say to everyone who attended that California class, wow, what a blast, what an experience. It was so much fun. We're going to talk a lot more about that tomorrow in the follow-up to this episode because I've got a bunch of audio clips for you guys to hear about what people thought of that class, so you can kind of know, is this something I should do? I've already had the question by hundreds of people, literally. Are we going to do another one? And the answer is...
Absolutely, and I'm going this time, dang it.
I'm kind of sad you were
Back
there,
here
dude.
watching you guys have all that fun.
Did Tim...
No, I'm so glad it went well. I'm so excited for the people that were there, the people that were streaming. Every single one of them has said this... Of those that have told us anything, they've said it was tremendously helpful. Great job, Paul. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Proud of the team. It was actually a great event.
Dude, that couldn't have gone over without you. You know that. This was definitely a team event because what Rob was doing was solving all of the problems for people on the live stream, taking care of people and customer service questions, like just helping every single person make sure that everything was working properly for them. And
it's a team. And Ilker was too, phenomenal. Yeah. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. And the most important part of all of it is that it seems to have actually helped people pass. That's awesome.
If they spent the time and paid attention.
Yeah.
Because I will say, I woke up this morning and 4 of the students who were in that class passed. So 4 out of 4, 100% had passed.
Right.
It wasn't until I actually went to our local testing center and met the 2 guys who took the test before me, and both of them failed, and one of them was a Drone U member. But he didn't go to the class. He just read the study guide, and he didn't download the study guide that had the questions in it.
Right. Okay.
So,
well,
anyway,
he'll get another chance.
No, and I said to him, dude, come, you need to really pay attention to the airspace section. This is so critical. This is why going to that class is so critical, because you learned it from Ted Wilson, who has years of experience teaching that.
He was phenomenal.
He used to teach it for United Airlines. People didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's he's hilarious too.
Isn't he?
I mean, he just makes people laugh the whole time. You're like taking in weather and you're cracking up.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. That's a rare talent right there.
That's why I hired him.
Well, and so, yeah, right. Well, it's going to be interesting because...
We hired him, whatever.
We have... What I'm going to say is it's going to be really interesting to see ultimately what the percentages are of people who pass, particularly on their first go-around, because we're talking to people that we know really dug in and spent a lot of time studying and getting ready. And so, of course, they're passing. But in general, these kinds of tests, what are they? Generally 50, 60% at the best, at most. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what those numbers are.
We will see.
But those going through this stuff and being a part of the class, they're passing.
If you are listening to the podcast and not watching, check out YouTube and you can see the thickness of our study guide. This is our actual study guide, tabbed. It's beautiful. It's 250-something pages with all of the questions. And you know what's funny, Rob? I would say of the tests, 60% of the questions that I actually took this morning in the real test are in this.
Really?
Yes, really.
Because we want to be full disclosure, honest, obviously. That's awesome. Because some folks have said there weren't very many.
Well, remember, the test
depends.
is different for every single person. They're pulling test questions. So some get more airspace than others. Some get more operations than others. Like, for example, there were no METAR questions in here. Remember the whole, I feel metarded now? Yeah. There were no METAR questions in there. Which actually was really worrying to me because I have difficulty with those. There were a lot of questions on weather. There was one question, though, that the FAA does legitimately need to fix. Here it is, photographic memory.
All right,
Rob, I'm going to test you, see if you can get this one right. All right, it's 40 minutes before sunrise. How long does a remote pilot in command have to wait to assume operations?
Well... I think this is one of the few things that I do know.
Oh, here we go.
No, you have. It's 30 minutes before and after, right? So
Yes.
it would be 10 minutes.
Yes, that's correct. High five.
All right.
You got that right. Well, on the test, I answered that same thing with 10 minutes, and it says I got it wrong, that the correct answer was 20 minutes. So FA, you got to fix that one because we do get Civil Twilight, and it's 30 minutes, just so you know.
Well, either fix it or clarify it. If there's a reason they believe that it's right.
You know, okay,
I don't
so
know.
one of our members missed passing by one question. If he had that
No.
question, yeah.
You're saying that's what happened?
Brian,
legit?
That was legit,
No.
yeah.
Oh, that
so
breaks
if
my
that
heart.
was one question, and I doubt it was that question, but what if it was that one question? You know, I'm getting all like New York with my hands, throwing them everywhere.
Yeah.
What is this? Ask Gary Vee now?
Seriously though, that would be a real bummer. And I have heard of several people that had that question, so maybe it was on more tests than we realize.
Yeah, well, I just saw in the community that someone else had actually said that same thing before I even had the chance to say it. But I will say, we did make history today, Rob. Drone you through me.
Through
but
yours truly, his
through,
truly.
myself and I. That was weird. Now it's getting real weird. I passed the exam, and I was the first person in the state of New Mexico to
Which we would
do
all
it.
expect, frankly.
Woo, woo, I know.
mean, the bar is high, Paul,
I
so
know, it is.
sorry, you don't get
It's
many
funny,
kudos.
Like I got out of there, and I was like, yeah. You
Yeah.
know, like I was expecting myself to pass,
Right.
but now I'm like be happy. Like, dude, you just worked for 6 weeks to write this thing and then also pass the test and teach it to 100 other people at the same time, of which 80% of them have passed. So, you know what, Rob, at the end of the day, am I happy about being the first in New Mexico? Yes, but
Yeah,
what
that's
makes
cool.
me happier is the fact that a large majority of our students who took that class are passing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
We're
today
really,
is a
really
new
excited
day.
about that.
If you operate a drone without a 107, there could be some very, very serious consequences.
How exciting is it that we finally have hit that day where so much of that is cleared up? The old 333 crap, I'm sorry to mention that 333 thing, is in the past. I mean, I know it's not completely gone. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but there is something that makes it clear, and that's a beautiful thing.
It feels like when you're playing a video game and you've been playing on hard mode to train the whole time, and then all of a sudden you just turn it on to normal mode and you're like, this is much easier now. That's kind of
Killing
how
machine,
I feel.
huh?
Yeah, that is exactly right. That is exactly right. It was an amazing test. A lot harder than what I thought.
So a few people have said that. Why do you say that?
They
What's
are
the context?
very, very specific
Okay.
on questions they ask. For example, one of the questions can get you in trouble if you don't know the difference in a symbol between lit towers to grouped towers that are unlit on a sectional map.
Okay, so okay. Those sectional maps, I mean, they're just discombobulated. It's like doing the paint art where you just throw the paint against the wall. That's how they look to me.
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
They are intense, but I will say I had 12 questions that were focused on airspace because I counted them. But of the 12, 6 of them were referred to the sectional map, but you never needed to refer to the sectional map if you knew the answer. Like, you didn't actually have
Interesting.
to go to the map.
Okay.
It would have been the same no matter what. But a few of the questions, they really focused and wanted you to know the differences in airspace, so where you could operate, where you couldn't operate, and they also wanted to make very sure you knew when you had to get ATC clearance and when you don't have to get ATC clearance.
Right.
And this isn't the end of the road either. Just because I passed the written exam, now I actually have to go online through IACRA, which I already have my IACRA set up, and then fill out the application and put I better not lose that form.
I know right where it is.
Okay,
it's not
perfect.
lost.
There's a number on that form that correlates to my ability to actually get my little pilot's license that'll go in my wallet. And actually, I'm going to
Get
replace
your wings?
it. Oh, dude,
There would be different. It'd be like wings.
It'd be like rotors.
Yeah, it'd be rotors, not wings.
It'd be like
So, anyways, we got to do some little rotor pins.
What I want to do, actually, here's my idea. I'm throwing this out there. In fact, I may just have to executive order and do this.
Yes, Mr. Obama. Sorry.
It's not that bad.
Did I say that out loud?
It's not that bad, I promise.
Or Mr. Bush. There, everybody can be happy.
Yeah, literally. They both wrote so many of them. Anyway, what if we did an elite group of pilots? We've been talking about this for a long time, where drone use certification no longer means you're just good enough to get insurance. where drone use certification means you've already got your Part 107 certificate, but you came to the obstacle course, which is right over there, like literally less than 150 yards that way.
Yep.
And we go out to the field, and they have to fly the obstacle course in a given time, and they have to film 5 cinematic moves, 2 of which would be through obstacles.
Sounds good. And
And
obviously,
then
they'd have to do all the pre-check, and they'd have to know their drone inside and out. I mean, there'd be a lot to that.
It would be like a check ride. It would be like the check ride of drones. But here's the point, right? If they become drone use certified, or we call it drone U elite, which is what I want to call it, these are the guys we know for a fact, if we get a call from the Discovery Channel, which we do all the time, that we can say, you know what, I trust this guy to do the job.
Right.
The service and prices range depending on what you want. But here's one thing. You can trust that this guy is going to get the buttery smooth footage that you want.
Right.
And that's what it's going to come down
Because
to. Maybe you should say buttery smooth certified, but Tim probably wouldn't like that.
It kind of has a nice ring to it, I guess. So let's back up a little bit. I'm curious. Tell me, like, what were there any surprises in the test?
Yes, I got one wrong. I remembered the question. What is the space between 2 storms called? And the 3 options were trough, wave, and front. And I said trough, and I got it wrong.
What is the answer?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, we got a 50-50 chance.
Well, I would think it's a front of the storm, but the front of the storm normally means the area literally in front of the storm that has lots of wind shear from the downdrafts and everything. So I was like, well, I don't know. Is it a front? Is it a wave? And then I started just thinking of wake surfing and wakeboarding, and I was like, oh no, I have a totally different definition of wave in my mind.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so that's one, but
I will say that I was taking the 107 exam next to someone else. So there was another guy in the room who could have been first in the state. And the only way we know that I was first in the state is this. There's only 2 testing centers in the state. One of them is closed today. They only give tests on Tuesdays.
So did you finish before the guy next to you?
Yes.
All right, then you're first.
I know.
You win. I know. He says. I know.
The guy was really struggling next to me though, and he hadn't studied anything. He was just like, I wanted to get a gauge of how this was, what it was like, and his dad was there with him, and was going to take it after him. But you get 2 hours to take the test, and I finished it in 23 minutes. And I think that guy may be waiting in the lobby for a while for his son to come down. Like he was visually emotional.
Well, and ultimately it doesn't matter if you take 1 hour and 59 minutes or if you do it in 23 minutes if you get the darn thing passed. So hopefully he passes it. We want people to pass.
Yes. You know what? It's funny. Todd, is it Todd? Is McKee? Todd McKee? He works at ABC
Back in
News.
New York, right?
Yes. He's a Drone U member. He got a higher score than I did. So congrats, Todd.
Atta baby. We're not even going to touch that other than to congratulate you.
Yeah, seriously. No, I'm happy for him. You know, there was a weird coincidence, Rob.
What's that?
The score and my date of birth were the exact same.
You're 88? Mm-hmm. Golly, I don't even want to talk about that. That's a sore subject for me.
But I thought that was really coincidental. I was like, does it mean more than what I think it does? No,
I don't
probably
think so.
not.
I will also say that there was somebody in the community who said they got a 95.
What?
So good for them.
Who was that?
I don't remember.
What?
The community is blown up today, so I can't remember all of the
There
activity and who said what.
500 posts in the last 3 days.
It's so much fun to see everybody having fun and being excited about the industry, being excited about their future, and that's what's going on in the community right now. It's really, really cool. People helping each other. Hey, I can't find this. Where do I do this? Oh, it's right here. I mean, it's just awesome.
Well, and I think those events, too, really help engage and interact each other because, like I said before, early in the podcast, this was more than just a class. This was truly an experience. I mean, everyone who came out of it was like, you know what? I've made friends for life. I've had such a good time. I never thought training could be so much fun.
Which, by the way, we want to do more of these.
Yes,
right?
we are. We're going to do another one the end of next month in September in Texas.
So I heard that being talked about, and I'm wondering why not Colorado, just out of curiosity. I don't know why we're talking about this on the podcast,
We probably
but I'm
shouldn't
curious.
talk about this on the podcast, but Tim was against it.
Oh.
So I want to do Colorado as well. I think that actually we should be doing a long distance class once a month and a local class once a month.
Right.
Because there's another guy who did 4 classes in 1 week in the same area that we did ours. So we had the highest amount of competition where we just were, and we had a sold out class. So it was like,
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's a lot of demand, and the cool thing is there's going to be more and more people trying to get get into this because it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
man, make
But
money having fun.
There was a guy who had actually gone to another school before going to ours
Oh, really?
about 107. And he was like, Paul, I got to come clean. Like, I used to work for this other drone school, and I'm not going to say which one it was. It's one I haven't talked about before. And he's like, I went there. They have a very cool obstacle course. They're based out of California. He goes, but the guy was just rambling. I never really learned anything out of it. He's like, literally, because coming to your class, he goes, and the way you teach and the way that Ted teaches, you guys make it fun. You give like emotional triggers. You give stories to help people remember things. He's
So
like,
important.
it's retainable.
Right.
He goes, I can't tell you how valuable this class was. And he goes, I think you should raise your price though, because their class was $1,500 and yours was $397. And I learned 10 times as much information from you as from them.
Wow. 1,500?
Mm-hmm. I don't understand that. Like,
and
honestly,
the thing is, we want to make it accessible to people. We want to be fair. We want to create a win-win. I don't. Not that we don't want to make money. I mean, it's a business, but at the same time, we want to create a win-win. That's
which, by the way, if you don't have the money to travel somewhere and take a class, guess what? We are the only school where you can attend via a live stream, via an online portal, so you can get this interaction like you're in the class. You can hear everyone asking questions. You can be a part of the class. And
what did one guy say? I put a butt dent in my couch or something.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Never sat in my couch so long.
It was so weird that having, almost 20 people in a room, which felt like a really intimate setting, but overall there were like 80 people there, you know? And it was just a wild feeling. But I've never had so much fun in a training. I'm just glad that most of our members have used this study guide. They've used the question bank. By the way, one of the questions I've gotten from the podcast is, can I access the quizzes and tests from the DroneU community on my phone? And the answer is yes. So you can take questions anywhere you are and get ready for this test. And it is passable. It's going to take some very deep understanding of the material that is in this book. And it's going to take understanding of the questions. I was actually shocked how many questions are in here that were on the test.
Okay, so the test was 60 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And what were the areas? I mean, were they as expected, whether in terms of the allocation of questions? Were there any surprises there?
No, most of the questions I had were about operations. I only had 12 airspace questions, and I know other people had more airspace questions than I did. Mm-hmm. I know that for a fact, which I was kind of surprised about. But you need to know airspace.
Yeah, I was just going to say, whether it's on the test or not, that's very, very vital information for drone pilots to know.
Yeah, if you do not know how to read a sectional, if you do not know about airspace, you are not going to pass. Yeah. And I really do think it comes down to that, because if you miss the majority of the airspace questions, you're going to have trouble.
Okay. Trying to think what else. It's we're excited for you. We're excited for everybody out there that's passing.
Yes, I am excited for everyone out there who's passing, but don't forget, Rob, this isn't the last part. We've taken our test. We need to now fill out that application through IACRA. So if you've taken the test, you passed the test, don't forget, there are things you also need to bring to the testing center. Like, for example, you cannot have a phone in the testing center. You can't bring anything with a memory into the testing center. So you also need to have a current address on your driver's license. If you don't, you have to have some other way to prove your current address. That's really important. Then again, once you pass the written exam, you've got to fill out the application with the exam number, and you can't fill out the application until a day after you take the written exam itself.
Huh, okay.
So once you do that...
Just got to get you into the system, basically.
Once you do that, you can print out a temporary certificate, and then they'll mail your actual certificate in the mail.
Very cool. And then the biggest deal, like we've been saying all along, congratulations if you passed.
Yes.
Keep studying if you haven't.
Good job, guys.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to rain on your parade, but now's when the real work starts.
This is very true. And we've been saying this the whole time, so... Yeah,
so again, maybe we'll let you enjoy the victory for a little while, but after that, you got to get back to work and start getting better at flying.
I think the biggest problem out of all of this is that some people won't get their actual 107 license for a week, and people are getting asked to do jobs, tomorrow.
Yeah,
For me, it's not a big deal. I've got all of the rest of this month is accounted for. October is accounted for, so I'm not really worried about it, but there are other people who are pushing that limit. And I will say, We still need to post the new enforcement material that was sent to us thanks to a member. Someone was questioning this on Facebook. They're like, oh, well, isn't it 2130, blah, blah, blah. No, they've updated that material. So enforcements are about to change. And I think they're about to get more serious. You know, John Rupert was saying that on a podcast a little while ago, and I kind of blew him off. But after seeing this new document that the FAA has been sending out to FSDO inspectors, I think people have a little bit more to be worried about, even if you have your license, things to be worried about, because they're going to be checking people whether they have licenses or not. So,
well, and that's a good point. Just because you passed your test, like you've said, that doesn't mean you're done with that aspect of your flying.
Correct.
You've got to know what you can and cannot do, and when you can and cannot do it, et cetera, et cetera.
That is so true.
You're going to get yourself in trouble.
That is so true.
I don't know what the enforcements are, but are there fines? Do we know
$1,100 per violation.
Oof, that'll hurt.
So, and you can lose your license or ability to get one.
Yeah, not good.
No.
So you better know what you're doing.
And honestly, guys, we've been waiting so damn long for this, and the rules are quite clear, cut, and dry. Operate under the rules. Seriously, if you're one of the guys like, I don't need a 107, you know, I don't recommend people call the FAA on each other, because we learned all about that with the 333 guys, you know. But don't be afraid to go up and ask someone like, oh, hey, do you have your 107 and are you operating under the guidelines? Because you're setting an example for everyone around you, and we just want to make sure that it's a positive example. Absolutely.
And you don't have to call the FAA on each other, but what you can do, and I don't think we'd blame you one bit, is when you're competing with somebody in particular and you're talking to a client, absolutely call out whether they know that the person you're competing against has a 107 or not.
Well, and also too, if you're operating in areas where there is in controlled or restricted airspace, the fines can get quite high quite fast.
Mm-hmm.
So,
whole nother
and you
issue.
also have the competitive advantage, because if you can fly in particular airspace and another person can't, well then, hey.
Yeah, you should win.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Cool. Anything else?
I think that's going to do it for today. Guys, if you're ready to take this test, or should I say if you're ready to pass this test, you got to become a Drone U member. You get the study guide for free. You can watch the class material, or just do what the smart people do. Come to one of our classes. You can attend via live stream, or you can just attend and come meet the guys. Because I got to say, that was a great group of people. It really was.
That's what I heard.
It was a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.